Hello everyone, welcome to Club Live here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast, and to a Q&A special, which is becoming quite a reoccurring theme during the international break. But we do them because we genuinely love to do them. So everybody get yourself subscribed to the channel and get your questions in the live chat, and we'll get through as many as we can over the next hour or so. I am Scott Carney. Joining me tonight is Alistair Pearson. Ali, how are you?
Very well. There's no Rangers this weekend, so I'm quite happy, Carney. Scotia's beloved Scotland are playing tonight, which I will not be watching after this. But yeah, good to be here. And it's a bit of a change that we're just answering some questions from the guys in the comments and stuff rather than the negativity. Well, it might still be negative, to be fair, but
It probably will be,
yeah.
Probably will be. Yeah, probably will be, yeah. We'll wait and see what questions do come in. And making his pod debut is Nicky Oven. Nicky, thank you very much for coming on Club at 22, mate. It is good to see you.
Buzzing to be on. Nah, listen, it's good to be back. I've had a fairly hectic few weeks. Obviously phased back to work early October. I think I get the brunt of everything all built up in the last 2 weeks. It's just been a bit manic. So apologies I've not been on. It's probably a good thing actually, because I've had a few weeks there where I got a lot off my chest, mate, and Rangers haven't done a huge amount to change my opinions. So we'll see how tonight goes. It's been a while since I've done a Q&A, so I'm looking forward to hearing what questions some of the listeners and the guys in the chat have got for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll answer as many as we can. And I suppose I've got a cheek, mate, because I was unavailable on Tuesday. Again, thank you to Alistair and thank you to Ross for holding the fort in my absence. I have been literally all over the country the past 4 days. So, and another country. So, yeah, it's been manic for me this week. Really has been. I'm at the point where I'm like, I can't believe it's only just Friday now, because this week has been on forever. But before anybody moans about me talking about my new job, I'm not here to do that. I'm just saying it's been a hell of a long week. But yes, no Rangers this weekend, which is probably a good thing. I could be doing me a bit of a rest as well. So we will get straight into the questions. Justin, I see that you have asked one, but I'll save that for the end, mate, because that's quite a good one to finish on. So we'll leave that for the end. Gazabuck says Church and Hill as always for the final, lads. Not 100% sure. We've kind of drifted away from
crap there. Pints
yeah,
are
the pints are
there.
The pints are really the pints are really bad, and it's a bit too busy for us old chaps from time to time. So I'm not 100% sure where we will be for the final. We'll need to wait and see. Anywhere that sells beer, if miracles come true, that'll be good. One thing I'll start with, lads, because I don't think we spoke about it. The top that I am wearing tonight, and it's not just because I am wearing it. We haven't discussed it. What is your thoughts on the kind of heritage 125 years of Ibrox top that Castor have released? As you can tell with me wearing it, I rather like it, and I do prefer it to this year's home top. Ali?
Yeah, I've not had a chance to see it in person, to be honest. No, it looks nice from the pictures, and you had it on, and I think you had it on for Hearts or something, didn't you? Yeah. No, I like it. I think it's nice, decent top. Obviously, they brought it out another 75 quid. They're trying to get the Rangers support. Good timing, just before Christmas. So, folk wanting Christmas presents. I've not bought it myself yet. I'll probably put it on my Christmas list or something. So yeah, I like it. It's nice, and I agree. I think it's nicer than the current home top.
Yeah, Nicky, your thoughts on it?
I like it as well, mate. I'm not the biggest fan of this year's home top actually. It didn't really grab me this year. I am quite a retro guy. I love all the kind of retro tops. I think this top looks quite retro. I'm fairly simplistic when it comes to football tops, mate. Stick the badge on it, stick the make, stick a couple of trims around the neck and the sleeves, and keep everything else plain, and I'd be pretty happy with it. So all these extra branding and extra bits of marketing, I know there's the commercial element to it, just pisses me off a wee bit. There's just too much going on. We look like almost an NASCAR tap running about sometimes. So no, I like it, mate. I think it's nice and plain. It's original. So no, I like it, and I'd probably agree. I think it's better than the home top as well.
Yeah, look, I get why Castor do it and why they didn't make this just the home top. But if you think this was the home top, even with the normal badge, if this was the home top, they would sell out it. They really would 100%. Sell out of it because everybody loves it. Yeah, it's got the branding and that on it. I do get that. I think that's a a weak attempt to link the old with the new, if that makes sense. The retro style collar, the arms, and whatever else, and obviously the badge. So I think it's something to do with that. But as soon as I seen it, I went, "That is absolutely lovely. I am going to get that," because I didn't. I went and tried on the new home top this year, and this will be for people that know that we're not happy clappers for the club. I tried on the new home top and I hated it. I just put it on. I was like, I don't like this at all. Really, really not for me. So I didn't buy it, and that's very, very much unlike me. I usually do, but no, I decided not to. But yeah, no, nice top, very nice top. And before we get the usual fleecing fans things, if you don't want it, don't buy it. Yada yada, etc. etc. We'll move down to where are we? I've seen one. Blue Nose John, nice to see you. Can we discuss the club's disastrous transfer policy last summer? We sold several talented players for only 800 grand. Ali, I think you can. This does not just last summer. This goes on and on and on for however many years now. This is something that we are being told that it's part of the 4 pillars of success, etc., of what the club's going to be built on. But there is no doubt that our transfer policy has to improve and improve very, very quickly.
No, it's an utter shambles at the moment, and it's not just last year. It's going back several years. We got extremely lucky with Calvin Bassey. Just so happened we got an injury, and Calvin Bassey came into the team, and he grew that year. Obviously, we got to the Europa League final, and we punted him for good money. Very good money. The other one was Nathan Patterson. Again, we're probably get lucky with again, who we punted down to Everton as well, who's kind of had a stop-start career at Everton. He's been injured quite a bit down there. Actually, see Scott Gemmill in the comments on his way. He's Scotland. Monday Scotland. Christ, Scotia.
God's sake, man.
We had a couple of pints with him, but
Scotia? Never.
No,
I can't believe you'd have a few pints of them, mate.
But yeah, no, it's a shambles, and I hate using the other side of the city as an example, but they're a good example of how it should be done. Bringing these players in and punting them. I mean, they brought the boys. Is it Kuhn in for 3 million? Reportedly already, he's looking to leave for 25 million. They did it with a boy that went to O'Reilly, who went to Brighton for 20 odd million as well. We need to do that. But you look at the Rangers team at the moment in terms of what we've got. There's not much there. Diamandi is an example of a guy they thought they could bring in and flip and punt for money. And when you look at Diamandi at the moment, I don't think we'd get our money back in him at the moment. So it's a model we have to do, and that's why we're bringing in these youth players, trying to develop them like a Iggaman and punt them for big money. But yeah, it's been since Gerrard came in, we've not done it at all. And that's how we need to make money as a football club, because Europe makes us money, Scotland doesn't. So we need to do the model that Celtic do. But I don't see many assets at Ibrox at the moment looking at that squad.
Nicky, that's the real concern, I think, is even the players that we have brought in. It's not really the players that we've released as well in terms of end of contracts and stuff. The players we have brought in, there's not really many that are standing out as of right now. Obviously, it's early days with a few of them as real assets, as real performers, real guys that you're hoping to kind of to push on for a serious profit. This is something it's the Achilles heel of Rangers right now, mate. And the books, when they were released earlier last month, was it last month? Last month they were released. They kind of tells its own story in that regard.
Yeah, I think so. And listen, I think just firstly, our recruitment is not good enough in ways or out the ways. I think I agree with Ali. I think one of the things that really irritates me at the minute is Rangers need 100 million to catch Celtic. Listen, 100 million would be great to catch Celtic, right? But I think we need a bit of reality check. We are not getting anywhere near 100 million to close a gap. And I agree with Ali. I think it's not the actual tangible amount of money that we need to catch Celtic. It's that we need to spend our money a hell of a lot better. I mean, there's a perfect example, Scott, there, staring us right in the face in the summer of Bayer Leverkusen, right? There is not a single person on this planet that will tell me that Bayer Leverkusen has a better squad and better players than Bayern Munich, right? but they were better coached, they had a better system, they had more desire. How many times did you go on your Twitter or your Facebook, right, and you seen Bayer Leverkusen have equalised in the last minute, Bayer Leverkusen have won the game in the last minute, right? That all comes from desire, it all comes from how you're coached and wanting to win games of football. So, yes, Rangers do not have a squad that is as good as Celtic, right? But I look at some of the names that Ali rhymed off there: Diomande, Cortez, Dessers, Lammers, Danilo. It's the best part of 25 million quid we've spent, and not a single one of them is contributing to this first team. Danilo's injured, Lammers is away, Dessers scores goals, right, but he lets us down in big moments all the time. Cortez can't stay fit, and Diomande, I quite like Diomande, right, but is he contributing what you would expect for 5 million quid? Not for me. Right, I'd be expecting a hell of a lot more in the Scottish market for somebody who you've paid £5 million for. Ali made a brilliant example there of the boy Kuhn, right? 2.5, 3 million quid, whatever it is. He's impacting games. He's scoring big goals. You think just a few weeks ago he scored the winner, whatever it was, it's against St Johnstone or whoever they were playing. So they're actively contributing to games, and that goes right across the board, right? You look at Hatate, Matt O'Reilly, Kyogo, Maeda. These are guys who are playing in big games. They're impacting big games in Europe. They're hurting us in Old Firm games as well. The average price they must have paid for these guys is like 2.5 million quid. It's literally half of what we're paying. So it's not. The reality check is we're not going to get 50 or 100 million, right? But we need to spend our money a hell of a lot better, and that goes for the guys who are going out as well, because that ultimately then helps us, because I think we don't deal well with our situation, right? Because as soon as we want rid of players, we let the world know that we want rid of these players, that they're not.
That's true.
Right? And what that does is anybody with a brain cell will look at us and go, right, they've just released their financial accounts. They clearly don't want these 3 players, so we'll just lowball them and we'll get them. And you look at guys like Cantwell going for £500,000 quid. That is outrageous. Guys like Cantwell going for £500,000 quid. I'm not suggesting he's a £20 million player, but you should be getting a couple of million for guys like him at least to put back into your budget that you can then reinvest. So the way we do our incomings and our outgoings, mate, needs a major overhaul, mate, in terms of how we do it.
Yeah, I think as well, I get your point in terms of Cantwell. I think as well we should be rid of them more, but we were quite clearly in quite a desperate mode of cutting the wage bill as quickly as we possibly could, I think. And you can kind of see that in terms of some of the business that we've done. But absolutely, I can't disagree with really anything or add anything that the two of you have said. It's something that's got to improve, and it's got to improve quick. It really does. And Niles Coppin is the guy that's going to be held to account for most of that, so let's hope he does a better job than, say, Ross Wilson, for example. So thank you, Blue Nose John, very much appreciated. Curry has asked, I seem to think we have co-players to get better results. For me, it's down to manager tactics and the way he utilises players. Thoughts? Nicky, I'll come to you first, mate. I'm going to tie this in with a question that I was going to ask the both of you as well. I agree that we should be getting better results. I don't think that's we should be getting better performances, at least from what we are seeing. Some of the comments now, and look, I know we've spoke about it to death in the WhatsApp group and ever, that it's hard to watch his press conferences and stuff now. But my question, to tie in with what Curry's saying there, is he gaslighting fans and media? Or does he genuinely believe that there's improvements? What's your opinion on that, as well as the manager's tactics and the way he utilises players also the problem?
I mean, I think Curry makes a good point, right? You think about all the successful teams. I've said this for donkeys. All the successful teams, right, that win big leagues, they win European Cups, whatever. They've all got a strong core. I'm not convinced we've got a core. Genuinely. Who's your core? Jack Butland's the only one that you can really stick your hat on and go, if you think about that spine of the team, who's the guys that are there every single week? Right, Butland's the main one. Centre back.
I think right now it would be Butland, Suter, Barron, and Raskin, and Dessers. But
right, and that's kind of my point, right? Which is you've got Jack Butland, John Suter. I agree is there in terms of the spine. I don't think John Suter's anywhere near good enough, right? So there's a major problem straight away. That if he's your core defender and your number one defender, and he's not good enough, you're kind of in a bit of bother. Barron, again, I think Barron's done well. I think he's doing the basics well, though. Is Barron as good as... Let's look at Celtic's core. Callum McGregor, Barron's miles away from him. Absolutely miles away. And I'm not saying Barron won't get better, by the way, but he's miles away from him. Do I think Barron is the guy that I would want going away to Celtic Park or going to big European games to be our main centre mid? I just don't. Not at the minute, and I think it's also too much pressure to be putting on a young boy like that. And then you say yourself, Scott, the striker Dessers, 99% of fans don't want him here, right? So again, if you're relying on him being your core number 9, we have got serious problems. But in terms of Clement and his tactics and the gaslighting piece, his tactics are poor, mate. His tactics are poor, right? I am consistently bored watching Rangers, and as a Rangers fan, that's not something you should ever have to say, right? I am honestly bored out my nut watching that team. It only takes 10 or 15 minutes and I am bored. We have that wee spell at the start of games when we come out the traps and you go, do you know what? We might be onto something here. And then we just fizz away. 7 or 8 minutes in, we just fizz away, and it's the same crap we've been exposed to for 6-7 months now. And tactically, a lot of that comes down to Clement, right? I think a lot of it comes down to recruitment. I think a lot of it comes down to desire of players, but a lot of it comes down to Clement as well, and he's putting his trust in guys who are simply not good enough. James Tavernier is a guy we've spoken about so many times. He simply doesn't have the legs, right? What we want to see, Scott and Ali, when we go to Ibrox or we're watching on the TV or whatever we're doing, you want to see energy, you want to see pace, you want to see playing football with a bit of purpose. Guys like Tom Lawrence, guys like James Tavernier, even Dessers, they just slow the game. Honestly, they look as if they're running through treacle half the time when you're watching them. They're that slow, and they just slow the game down too much. And that goes on Clement. I'm not really too sure what Clement is trying to do. As I say, I've maintained for a while, I don't think he's this great tactician. I think he's a bit of a problem solver. I think he tries to get the most out of players. And he's probably very reliant on his recruitment team, his board, putting quality on the park for him. I don't think he's got tactics, and if he does, and what we are seeing at the minute is what he sees as a tactics and how he can win games of football and how he can win titles, then I think we're probably in a bit more bother than we actually are.
Ali, what's your opinion? I do think that we should be getting more from this current squad. I think there's certain players that shouldn't play, certain players that should. Again, another question in itself. I think we all kind of know really how that. We've got limitations in terms of injuries, yes, but the way that Clement talks after the games, even after the game at the weekend, I was going, I don't know what you're trying to say. Are you trying to say that we are wrong? Are you trying to say that what we are seeing is good football and it is an improvement? I don't know, mate. Or is it just he thinks winning is just enough and that's it? Like, as long as we win games, it doesn't really matter what we do. What's your opinion on the whole thing?
I agree pretty much with Nicky, to be honest. Curry's questions there is about, he thinks we've got a decent spine of the team, if you want to say a decent core of the team, and I don't think we do, to be honest. I don't think players are good enough. I don't think
Can I make a disclaimer as well quickly? Rangers have broken Alistair just now because it's the least animated I've seen Alistair. Generally at games, like it's the least animated I've seen him in a long time, like a long time.
I said it on Tuesday night, Carney. I've given up kind of shouting and swearing and all that, just because it's what I've come to expect with him now. Just giving up, to be honest. But no, you look at the core of the team. Butland, who I don't think's been great this season at all. No. He's been shaky. But then again, what's in front of him is probably breathed into him, to be honest. I agree with Nicky. 2 centre halves aren't good enough for me. John Suter, I think, and I've said this for weeks and weeks in this podcast, as a squad player, I think he's decent. As a first team player for Rangers, no, he doesn't do it for me. Big games, I don't trust him. And then you go to his partner, Proper, not trusted against Hearts. What does that say about him? You're having to play Leon Balogun for the second year in a row, Carney, who was our 4th choice centre-half last season and this season. And again, for 2 seasons in the trot, he's found himself in the team because he's probably our best centre-half. I think he's at the age of 35, 36. And in the middle of the park, Barron. Yeah, I think Barron's all right, to be fair, and I think he will be a good player for Rangers. I think a lot's been made about him because I agree with Nicky again. He's shown the basics, the desire, attitude, everything the other players should be showing, and he kind of stands out. Raskin, he's looked decent so far at the moment coming in there. And then the striker up front isn't good enough. So the core, for me, isn't good enough. And I've said since the beginning of the season, there's guys playing in this team that are squad players that have found themselves as first-team players because some of these guys we brought in aren't good enough. So, yeah, I think if we've, hypothetically, if we brought a new manager in, they may get a bounce out of some of these players. Diamandi's one for me I'm puzzled with. We had a discussion with Diamandi on Tuesday night, Carney. I was interested to hear Nicky's thoughts on it because Nicky's obviously he's played the game at a better level than any of us. But Diamandi, for me, I think he looks a lost cause at the moment, Carney. He just looks lost in the park. He looks like he doesn't know what to do. I was just interested to hear because I've not had Nicky on a couple of weeks. What his thoughts were on Diamandi at the moment, because I just think he looks a lost soul in the park.
Yeah, well, Nicky, before I come back to you regarding that, we'll bring in Big Dodge Shaving's question. Should Hadji step in to replace Diamandi? Now, before people jumped in my throat,
I've got step in and replace Lawrence before anything else, right?
Yeah, I've got a slight. I can feel sorry for Diamandi slightly, and the fact that I don't think he's a natural 10. I think he's like an 8, an advanced 8 more than anything. I don't think he's a natural replacement for the 10 position. However, on the game on Sunday, I thought I could not believe he stayed on the pitch the entire night. I just could not believe he was on the pitch that long because he was awful and he was missing in action and he was doing that thing that, well, I feel like I might be being harsh, but I thought he was hiding in plain sight. I really did. I thought, you don't want the ball, and for a number 10, that's useless. Like, that is absolutely useless. You want your 10 to always want the ball, and he probably should replace Lawrence Hadji. But what's your thoughts? Look, and again, I don't want to big up Yanis Hadji as if he's the answer, but when you're bringing on Dowell at the weekend, when you've got Diamandi missing in action, surely you must think, I'll try and get a tune out of Yanis, surely.
I mean, I was quite happy. I said for a while I didn't think Yanis Hadji was the solution to all of our problems. I always get quite concerned when actually Rangers fans trying to solutionise how we fix teams, because we go in the motions a wee bit and all of a sudden people like Zach Lovelace and them become the guys that we need to play 50 games a season. But I think I was quite excited by Diamandi coming in. I watched a few clips and I've been confused by these clips before, or I've been caught out by these clips before. I remember watching one of Eduardo Herrera and thinking he was the next coming of Maradona based on YouTube. But I did watch a few videos of Diamandi, and I read up a few pieces about him and what he could bring to the team. And actually, I was quite excited by him. I think the first couple of games, I think I said this on the pod, I thought he looked like a bit of a hybrid between a Glenn Kamara and maybe a Joe Aribo. I think he had that kind of close control. I think he those kind of hip movements that can just completely derail an opponent. He can go both ways. He gave us an energy which we've been crying out for a number of years now. Ali's spot on. Barron's given us that basics in terms of that energy and aggression. I thought Diamandi could do that as well. Diamandi, for me at the minute, I think firstly it's telling. I don't know if any of you seen the open goal interview with Andy Halliday after the Cup semi-final. Andy Halliday actually pointed to Diamandi and said he felt he changed the game. Andy Halliday said he was playing directly up against Diamandi. He wasn't originally until, was it Diamandi came on or Tom Lawrence got injured, can't remember. But Andy Halliday at the time, I think, said he was fairly comfortable in that centre of the park. Diamandi caused him problems because he kind of stretches you. He takes you places as a centre mid you don't really want to go. I think the thing for me with Diamandi, he looks tidy. He tries to do too much for me. I think a lot of the times with Diamandi, he's beat the guy, just roll the ball into somebody else, but he almost tries to beat him again or kind of go the other way. And I think occasionally he runs into traffic or he then loses the ball. But I also would give him a wee bit of the benefit of doubt. I don't think he's been utilised correctly either, Scott. I think what we've seen in the very early parts of Diamandi's time coming here is he's almost played flat alongside a Baron, almost like two number sixes. Why we play two number sixes, I'll never know, right? I will never know why we play two number sixes when 10 of their players are camped in their box for 90% of the games we play, right? So I agree with you. And I've called for a long time. I think we should drop the number 10. I would be far more comfortable with us playing like a Raskin as a 6 and having the energy of 2 8s like a Baron and a Diamandi that's got the license to go out wide, to attack, to put late runs into the box, a bit like Scott Arfield used to do. So I don't think he's been utilised correctly, but he has shown flashes for me. I do think there is talent there and there is potential with him. But I do think there is an element of coaching. It might be the Scottish game, right? Everybody talks about how quick the Scottish game is. Maybe he's just not used to having guys on top of him straight away. And he maybe needs to almost learn and adapt to releasing the ball a wee bit quicker, or kind of how do you find space a wee bit better. But I think he's been underwhelming. But I think there is potential there, mate. And I think for the £5 million, listen, I'd be keen to stick with him, because I do think there is a chance that he could come good if he's utilised correctly. Whether or not Clement will do that, mate, I don't know.
Yeah, Ali, what's your thoughts on Diomande? I've been quite strongly opinionated, probably to you too. I'm not seeing it. I'm honestly not. You can see there's wee bits there, there's wee bits of quality and whatever else, but he's very quick to just disappear in games for me, and it does seem like quite a big outlay for him right now when you look at it on paper in terms of what we're getting in return. But is it down to Clement not utilising them properly, and would you rather see Yanis Hadji playing the 10 instead of Diomande?
Technically, he's a good player, Diomande. When he first came in, I thought, because I remember one of his first games at Ibrox, he scored from outside the box.
Which
is a shock to us because our midfielders don't score goals.
I think he was away, actually. Was that not away? I'm sure that was away. I don't think that was at Ibrox.
Was it away? I thought he scored one.
I think so.
But anyway, I just don't think he's been played in the right area of the park and played with decent players, to be fair. I think technically he's a good player. I just think at the 10, he just looks lost still. Hadji, for me, I still don't even think Hadji's the answer. And again, that's why when we're on about Lawrence earlier on the season, folk were saying bring Hadji back, and I think folk forget that Yanis Hadji was, let's be honest, pretty poor. That's why he was put out on loan the season before, did nothing. So is he the answer? No, I don't think so. He's probably a better option at the moment. I was surprised he didn't go in the park on Sunday over Kieran Dowell. So, yeah, well, we've all been shouting this season about Lawrence playing the 10, and we've all been saying we don't want Lawrence playing the 10 because he has scored a few decent goals for Rangers, but folk were saying play other players in that position, and we've played Diamande there. Doesn't look up to it. The one we're all wanting in there is Barami, which I'm hoping after the international break that Matondo or Cortez, or at least one of them, is fit that can play out wide on the left, which will free him up and we can finally get to see him in there. But yeah, I'm not writing Diamande off because I think there's a player in there. Similar to Nicky, it does remind me of a Glenn Kamara, the way he drops his shoulder, the way he plays at times, but I just think he's lost at the moment. And I think that goes down to Clement in terms of telling him what to do in a football park.
I also think it goes back to Clement's sheer rigidness that he has in terms of that he won't adapt his tactics or formation at all in order to get the best out of the players at his disposal. But that also opens another can of worms when you think, why is he signed these players if they don't fit the system that he's trying to play? So it's a bit of a conundrum, it really is. But for right now, I think for what we paid for Diomande, I think we should be expecting to see more from him just now. However, as I say, I think playing in the 10, I don't think any of us really want to see it. Again, when Nicky's saying, but the partnership of Raskin and Barron seems to work, as I say, defensively anyway, in terms of getting the ball back in the midfield, but it does leave our attacking options quite short. But yeah, I think most of these, and that's just my opinion, but most of these problems come back to Clement more than anything else. We'll take a break in proceedings at this moment to hear a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after that daily, silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, their Chairman Pro electric foil shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. Head over to manscaped.com and join over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by using the code CLUBAT22 for 20% off and free shipping. You have the skin-safe full blade foil for that close, smooth shave when you're looking to go completely clean. And if a clean shave isn't your style, just switch to the skin-safe stubble trimmer to keep your stubble looking sharp and polished. The Chairman Pro comes with unique Flex Adjust technology, helping you maintain great contact with your skin at every angle. And here's something that's going to make your grooming routine even easier. The Chairman Pro is waterproof. The Chairman Pro is so powerful it can tackle up to a 5-day growth, making it perfect whether you're shaving every day or just tidying up after a few days. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CLUBAT22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CLUBAT22 at manscaped.com. Thank you very much to Manscaped for their continued support of this podcast. The Chairman Pro is a very good bit of kit. I am very, very much impressed with it. Nicky, I've got yours sitting next to me right here, mate, so you don't have it yet, so you can't pass opinion on it. But Ali, you're using it, you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good. I said before, the Handyman's was the favourite one out of the full sort of repertoire of what they've got, but the Chairman Pro is... no, it's very good. It's much. There's a bit. Is that your young lad in the background there?
It's not my lad. No, it must be Nicky's. It's not.
All right, okay, Zach.
Apologies.
It's not my lad.
No, it's very, very good. All Manscaped stuff's very good, to be honest. I always say even the boxers are absolutely brilliant. So yes. Perfect Christmas present for perfect
someone. Christmas present for the men in your life or women in your life. I mean, they're definitely there's I know there's when they send me over the kind of readouts and stuff like that, there is women's ones as well. So there you go. And before anybody has a go at me, the majority of the people that watch this podcast are male, so there'd be no much point in me trying to punt it at women. So yes, no, thank you to Manscaped. As I say, their stuff is absolutely top drawer. It really is superb. And if you use our code on their website, you're supporting this podcast. So thank you, everybody. And as Ali said, Christmas is coming up, everybody. So get using our code. That'd be very much appreciated. We'll get back to the questions now. Archie's asked, I'm presuming he said, who will be the new manager after the December the 15th. If one question sums up the state of affairs at Rangers right now, that would be it. Look, Ali, I always say, like, you can have your opinions on who it would be. I think the one that always gets floated about is Derek McInnes, because you'll get in and make it hard to beat, yada yada. Even though what happened before, I don't know who the new. I mean, I didn't see Philip Clement coming. I wouldn't even have put his name in the hat for getting a Rangers job. So the manager appointment at Rangers is always very difficult to kind of pinpoint or to kind of guess, to kind of second guess yourself. So do you have anybody in mind if the I was about to say inevitable happens, if Philip Clement does lose his job at any point, who do you think should be the next Rangers manager in your mind?
Well, I think that game is pivotal in terms of Clement's future with Rangers, Carney, in terms of we need to get momentum in the league running into that game. But if it goes the way, let's be honest, we think it's going to go, and I said on Tuesday night, we'll either get battered or we will put up a resilient performance but get beat 1-0 or something. We've been there before 18 times. That's what I thought will happen. I've said it on the podcast, I've said it in the group chat, I would bring in, and somebody in the comments has already said, I'd go and bring Derek McInnes in. I would, just to stabilise us. He knows the Scottish game. I think he would get us on a sound foundation going forward. Is he the guy to lead Rangers into the future? Nobody knows, but I would bring him in just to kind of get us back in an even keel again. But we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner. But December 15th, Clermont. For me, Clermont has to win that game, Carney. I know we'll come into near the time, but he has to win it. He's not beaten Brendan Rodgers or a Celtic yet. He has to win it.
Yeah, I'll tie that in, Nicky, with a question from AG as well, who said, "What's your thoughts on appointing Kevin Thompson as manager?" I think there's a romanticism around that. I don't think Thompson's kind of a real track record at a club anywhere near the size of Rangers. However, I did say that Clermont should go, and I still believe that, by the way. My opinion hasn't been changed. I don't think Clermont should be Rangers manager because I don't see improvement in the team or on the pitch. And I did say a caretaker sort of role of someone like Thompson, like Steve Davis, someone that we know we can just have there, understands the club, and kind of write this season off, really, and kind of sort the boardroom mess out. Then appoint a manager when you've got the board mess sorted out towards the end of the season, and then we go again from next season. But what's your opinion? Who should be, or will there be? Do you think Clermont will go? What's your opinion on it all, mate?
Neither of them, to be honest. I think Clermont will go. It's just when, as opposed to if now. Obviously, I said a few weeks ago, I think Clermont needs to beat Celtic. It's one of the massive black marks on his CV at the minute. I said he needed to beat them New Year. He's got an opportunity to do it prior to the New Year fixture now. On the 15th of December, I suspect if we get beat that game, particularly if we get beat badly, it'll be the end for Clermont. I think the fans are already pretty far gone. I think that would almost be the final nail in the coffin if we were to be convincingly beaten by Celtic. And I think, being realistic, I think if you watch the way Celtic are playing at the moment and you watch the way we're playing at the minute, would you honestly write off Celtic beating us 3 or 4-0? I probably wouldn't. And that's sad to say at the minute, but so I do think Clermont will go. I guess one of the big frustrations I've always got, Scott, and I think you're similar, is it's not my job to pick the next manager, right? So as a fan, I can say Clermont should go because he's not performing well enough, right? If you look across the performance metrics of what we expect from a Rangers manager and what we expect from a Rangers team, he is not ticking the boxes at the minute. So we are well within our right to say Clermont shouldn't be in a job anymore. Clermont should go, right? We're seeing no trajectory of improvement, no trajectory of performance that gives us that wee bit of faith that, you know what, we're moving in the right direction. He might turn this round. It's a wee blip. We're seeing none of that at the minute. So we are well within our right to be calling for the manager's head. And it does frustrate me when people come back and go, who are you replacing them with? Well, that's not my job, mate, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of people out there. If the guys behind Clermont are doing their job effectively, they should have a short list of people who they can start speaking to with pretty quickly that they can bring in. For me, McInnes, I don't think McInnes would do bad, right? I'm not saying that. Would he take us to where we want to go? Would McInnes win us a league title? Not for me. And that's just my opinion.
So.
I don't think he'd win us.
I agree. I do agree.
I think he would make us hard. I think Ali's got a brilliant point. He would make us much harder to beat. You would see desire. You would see aggression. You would see a better structure. Would he be able to topple Celtic without being bankrolled? No. I just can't see it. I think Kevin Thompson, I agree with you as well, Scott. I think, Christ, I was scratching my head when we put in Steven Gerrard, right? And Steven Gerrard comes with a massive aura and a massive reputation, far bigger than Kevin Thompson. Because I looked at Gerrard and thought, Christ, he's not got much on his CV, right? Under 18s or under 20s, whatever he was doing at Liverpool at the time. And I thought, this could be a disaster here. Fortunately, it turned out all right, but Kevin Thompson would alarm me. I'm not opposed to having Kevin Thompson as part of the backroom. I think he's a guy who speaks very well. I think he's a guy who's well connected at the club, and I think he knows what it takes. Kevin Thompson was a brilliant player for us, by the way. Not to take anything away from that, Kevin Thompson was a brilliant player for us. I wouldn't be opposed to having him as part of the backroom, but as the head guy, not for me. For me, honestly, I think we need to look for a guy who obsesses about performances over anything else, right? Because I've said this for donkeys. Results will catch up with us because we're not playing well, right? And yes, we're getting over the line in games, right? We're beating teams 1-0, we're beating teams 2-1. We will get caught out, and we've been caught out multiple times this year. We need a guy who is going to focus on performances, right? And bring back a style of football that is suited to Scottish football. Ange Postecoglou is giving you the blueprint of how to win here, right? Relentless attacking. Don't suffocate teams. Don't give them any room to breathe, right? And that's why it pains me when we then come and we see we go up and we start passing the ball about at the back. Why are we not going to kill these teams off? So I would like a guy to come in who is aggressive and sees performance over anything else. Kevin Muscat, right? I don't know if we've missed the boat with him. I was quite torn at the time when Clement came in. I actually probably favoured Muscat slightly more than Clement. I know I spoke to Mallman and a few other people, and they were like, Clement's got a good CV, you look at his titles in Belgium. But there was something that really appealed to me about Muscat, that aggressive, fast-flowing football. You look at all his teams, they scored 3-4 goals every game. They maybe concede now and again, they're maybe not structured at the back, but see in Scotland, see if you're scoring 3 and 4 goals, you win football games. You win 99% of football games, with the exception of the old firms potentially, when it might come down to a moment of magic or who's structurally better on the day. You will win 99% of the game. So I think that's what I would be looking for in the next coach, mate.
All I want is a manager, a style of football, something on the pitch that I can identify with, something that I can see what we're trying to do. I don't think that's too much to ask as a fan. That when you're going to the football, you want to be able to see some form of progression. We always say from the start, when Clement come in, we got a bounce. We've seen something a little bit different compared to what we had been seeing, but we've just went back the way, and that's my real concern around Clement is that I don't think there is anything else to come. That this, and back to when we had Adam Thornton on as well, when we were discussing that this is the style of play. We're all asking to see a style of play. This is Clement's style of play. This is his intentions of what he is trying to do. There was a moment in the game against Hearts within the first good 10 minutes that we had that we actually played really good football at one point, and we moved the ball quick and we looked attacking, and I thought, where's that been? Where did that come from? But you're not telling me that the team have just decided after they've scored a goal that we're going to go, right, let's not do that anymore. That's got to be coming from the manager. It has to be. Like they can't collectively just decide we're not going to bother anymore. That can't be the case. It just can't be. And if it is, then my God, our problems are even deeper than just the current manager. Then there's obviously someone somewhere within the squad that's kind of leading the charge of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. But yeah, I think I just want someone that I can look at and go, right, you're the guy that I can get behind, which is why I'm not really behind a caretaker manager in terms of someone that we can identify with, really. And I'm not saying Kevin Thompson, Steve Davis is the answer. That's not what I'm saying. And it's not, again, as Nicky said, it's not up to me to go and decide who the next Rangers manager is, but just someone to be like, right, okay, we're willing to just see this through until we point the next guy. Muscat is always going to come back because he was the guy that Clement, they were the two head runners for the appointment of the job. So it's always going to be, we picked the wrong guy, so we'll just go back to Muscat, like that kind of thing. So I get where you're coming from in Muscat, I do, mate, and it would be fun to see us just shooting from absolutely everywhere on the pitch, because we will score a goal eventually, kind of thing. But I'd say
there's nothing to say that if we had picked Muscat a year ago that it would have worked, right? It might have still went flat in his face. One of the things that really appeals to me, sorry Scott, just to add this in, mate, is see if you look at Muscat as well, if you look at his latest team who have just won the Chinese top division, he improves players. You look at I've seen a few things on Twitter, it was like the players and some of the results and stats for last year, they're night and day compared to this year, right? They're doubling goals, they're doubling assists. So he's got almost that track record of improving players as well. But you're totally right, mate. There's nothing. We're not wrong in saying we want to be entertained, right? You pay hard-earned money to go and watch Rangers. Entertain us, and we're not getting that at the minute.
Yeah, we're definitely not. That's for absolute sure, mate. We're definitely not. Just so you know, lads, this will be the last question, so you can have thinking about this in the background. Is name your Rangers starting 11 dream team from the 80s, 90s and 2000 era, so you can have a think about that before we come back to it. Guys, a buck has should Neil McCann be in the Hall of Fame? For me, it's a massive yes. Is this something I've missed, by the way? I've really not been on social media at all the past 4 days because of how much travelling and that I've been doing, the driving and whatever else. I've really not had a chance. Is this happening? Is this being rumoured to be happening? Any of you know?
First I've seen it, mate. I've not seen anything about it.
Well, what do you think, though? Should Neil McCann be in the Hall of Fame? Ali? Neil McCann's outside setting fireworks off outside my house, so I think he thinks that he's already in the Hall of Fame.
Won a few league titles with Rangers, won a few cups with Rangers, probably one of the best wingers I've seen at Ibrox in my lifetime, to be honest, a natural winger. You look at, I know folk will come and go, Tav's in the Hall of Fame, so and he shouldn't be there because he's only won a couple of cups in one league. So yeah, why not? I think he was a good servant for Rangers, Neil McCann, like I say, and he ultimately won trophies and he won big games with Rangers as well and scored big goals.
Nicky?
I'm not sure, mate. Similar to Ali, I love Neil McCann. I think you look at his CV at Rangers, right? I mean, I'll always remember him for the May 3-0 game, right? As one of my fondest memories following Rangers, right? Is that league title win at Parkhead and him scoring 2 goals and completely terrorising them for 90 minutes. But I always think Hall of Fames should be quite a sacred thing. And I kind of get the contradiction there because James Tavernier's in there and people are very on the fence about James Tavernier, right? But
are they? Are you sure about that? Are you sure they're on the fence, mate?
But I almost think that has Neil McCann done enough to be a Hall of Famer? Because I think if you open, and this isn't any disrespect to Neil McCann, but if you were to open the door, the likes of Neil McCann, how many others would you then start adding? And then all of a sudden it maybe takes away some of the exclusivity of maybe being a Hall of Famer because you then get so many individuals as part of it. Whereas I feel it's quite not secretive. I don't know what the right word I'm looking for, but it's quite exclusive at the minute. I think it's a massive honour to be obviously part of that. And I think there's a lot of players, and even in our era, Scott and Ali, that would tick similar boxes to Neil McCann, that if you opened up for Neil McCann, you could probably make an argument for another 30 or 40 players. And then when does it stop? Do you know what I mean? So that's my view.
I love Neil McCann, and I did love Neil McCann when he played for us as well. Like a great signing for us. One of those ones that proved me wrong, because I remember when we signed him, it was pretty underwhelming, and my God, he went on to prove us all wrong. I thought he was absolutely superb for us, he really was, and Big Advocate definitely got the most out of him. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So, but to go in the Hall of Fame, I don't know. It's a difficult one. Look, it has become a little bit gimmicky, the Hall of Fame. I will say that for sure, that it has become a little bit that. There's obviously more than a few that are in it that should definitely be there. But I will sit on the, as Nicky said, on the fence with James Tavernier. I'll sit on the fence with Neil McCann, whether he should be on it or not. But I did really like Neil McCann. Yeah. So, and I'd like him as a pundit as well, to be honest. I actually do quite like him. So, yeah. Thank you for the question. Really do appreciate it. Right, lads, we'll finish with this one. Then we'll finish up with your Rangers starting 11 dream team from the 80s, 90s, and 2000 era. 2000s is 24 years that covers, I would imagine, or is it just the noughties? Is that what they call it? Is that what the kids call it, the noughties? We'll start with goalkeeper then. What are we going to play, lads? We'll play a 4-4-2.
Aye, 4-4-2.
I've went 4-3-3. I've went out the box.
Oh, Nicky's went a 4-3-3. So, right, start Gorham for me.
Same. I think there's an honourable shout for McGregor, but
yeah,
I think McGregor made big saves against them as well, didn't he? I remember a lot of big stops, the Samaras penalty, some of the ones he saved during the 55 season as well. But I'll probably always say Gorham slightly. Just edges it for me.
Ali?
Yeah, Gorham. Fantastic. See that one against bloody Honky Donk, Van Hooijdonk, the one at Ibrox, the 3 each game.
My dad used to call him Van Plonky Dunk.
For me, Gorham. Also, when he reportedly threw his glove into the dressing room at Parkhead and went, smell a glove. Stuff like that. I just love that. Love it.
Brilliant. Love it. Absolutely here for that. Yeah, definitely. So right back, Ali, you pick a choice.
Kind of slightly before my time. Gary Stevens was one. England internationalist. I mean, right backs. I mean, I was going to say you could put Tav in there, but the comments would go absolutely tonto if I'd said that.
We get too copy for that, mate. Yeah.
There's quite a few decent right backs through our time. Perini was there. I don't think we got the best of Perini. I'll go with Gary Stevens.
He was a raving lunatic as well, Perini. But I did really like Perini.
He was a lunatic. I'll go with Gary Stevens. We'll go there since we're going into the 80s, 90s and stuff.
I think Stevens as well. Probably, I can't think of anybody else that really stands out. We could do a Ryan and pick Renner at right back, something along the lines of that. Stevens or Tav for me. So
I actually went Perini. I can't remember Stevens. Like, I'd be lying if I said I was.
I remember videos and that from him, but that's about it.
I remember Ali and I done a pod and we talked about James Tavernier and we spoke about where he sat amongst these peers. And I was trying to think back to that. Perini, I think obviously had a brilliant career pre-Rangers. I think he done fairly well. He was part of a very successful team at Rangers. There's an argument for Rickson, but then we seen better at Rickson as a centre mid, I think. And then even Aaron Hutton was good for us, by the way.
He was good.
He brought in 9 or 10 million quid going down south as well. I always remember he was the White Cafu. He was nicknamed for a while, but longevity, I don't think we got enough out Hutton. So I actually went Perini. I just thought he's a solid choice, mate.
Yeah, Hutton's a good shout as well. I did like Alan Hutton. I did. If either of you had said Whittaker, I would have banned you from that podcast for life. But Hutton's probably an outside shout. So yeah, so you're Perini. Me and Ali will go Stevens. First centre half, Nicky.
You want both of them or just one?
We'll go both then. Do both.
So I struggled, but I went with Big Amo and I went Richard Gough. That's the two. Good. I'd an honourable mention for somebody like Davy Weir, who I thought was unbelievable when he came up here, even at his age, and how much he brought on others around him, the likes of Queller, and who else played with him? Who was the Bugera? Loved him playing with Davy Weir, Bugera. But I think Richard Gough, I'd be surprised if none of you guys have picked Richard Gough, captain 9 in a row, but Big Amo was the other one. I know there was the whole debate or the debacle about taking the captaincy that off him, but he was a brilliant big defender for us. Aggressive, brilliant in the air, could hit a ball as well. I think some of the long ranges and free kicks he scored. So Big Amo and Gough I picked.
Centre half over the 80s, 90s, 2000s is a spoiled choice. It really is. For like, you could name them all: Davy Weir, Amoruso, Gough, Bugera, Queller. There is many. Butcher. There is absolutely many. I think I have to go the same, mate. I loved Amo. Honestly, absolutely loved the guy. He was a bomb scare at times, he really was. But every centre half, I think, has got a bit of a bomb scare in them. I think they've all got it because they're all gutted that they never became strikers. So I'll go the same. I need to go for Gough and Amo. I think Butcher and Gough is probably close to that, though. I really do think Butcher and Gough. And we are showing our age here, the fact that we were born late 80s, so like we were very young at the end of the 80s, so I'm going to go for Amo and Gough as well. Ali?
Yeah, I agree. Butcher's just before our kind of time. He was there when we were alive, but probably too young for that. The only other centre-half I would say who was very good for Rangers, I thought Craig Moore was a very good centre-half for Rangers.
Yeah, he was.
I thought he was very
nice
good.
Guy as well. We've met Craig Moore.
Yeah, we've met him before. Yeah, no, cracking guys. Now he's a football agent now, Craig Moore. But I agree with you. The two, I'd go with Gough and Big Amo.
Yeah, Big Boomstrong as well. Remember, Boomstrong was brought in just to sell him.
cracking bit of business. That's the type of business we should be doing right now.
I 100% agree, mate. 100% agree. And then Boomsong just got sick of being here, didn't he? He was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Can you just sell me, please? Thank you very much. So yeah, right. We'll go with that. Left back, David Robertson for me. Will be my left back. That I've seen a few, but for what I'd want in my team right now, a David Robertson would be absolutely tremendous. Obviously, you've seen Newman, you've seen Sasa.
That's the three. That's the three, isn't there? I don't think there's any do it with them three.
You think Lee Wallace have a shout?
No, he's not in the same. I don't
scored against them, but scored against them, didn't he? Scored against them. Right, so I'll go Robertson. Ali?
David Robertson all day long. A kind of modern day fool, but probably before his time, David Robertson. But I desire everything about him. I actually loved him in the documentary when he was managing team out in India, and he's shouting and swearing and everything. I thought, I just imagine him in a park. But no, I agree. David Robertson for me.
Yeah, Nicky?
I went Newman. I was torn. I think there's again honourable shout for Papach. I don't think Papach had the same legs as the other two. I know Newman had some of his injuries. Scored an absolute worldie against them, by the way. Arthur Newman, I remember it, for about 30 yards, almost on the byline. Or the throw-in line, sorry. But Dutch World Cup player. I went Arthur Newman, mate. Strong, aggressive, can get up and down. Brilliant left foot. So I went Newman.
Right, Nicky, pick your midfield three, since me and Ali have got a 4, so your midfield 3.
Yeah, so I went a kind of flat 3. So Barry Ferguson, Paul Gascoigne. I went Ian Durrant. I know, again, Scott, there's an argument we didn't see the best of Durrant, and I've seen a lot of shouts for Durrant in there, but for what I hear and for wee clips that I've seen of Durrant, he was a brilliant player for us, right? You look at some of what he'd done in the kind of late 80s, very early 90s, before that horrific injury. He was a brilliant player. So I went with Durrant. Barry Ferguson, I think I would always pick him just because I remember him. He was probably one of my second or third loves when Laudrup and Gascoigne and McCoist moved on, mate. So Barry Ferguson was there, and then Paul Gascoigne. I always say Paul Gascoigne is just a level above everybody bar 2 or 3 players that have maybe ever played in Scotland.
Yeah, me and Ali will pick the same midfield too. Gaza and Barry Ferguson.
Yeah. Barry Ferguson, he was just in front of me for the Hearts game, and I was looking at him going, you do not age at all. And then I watched him at the Masters last night, which was quite a good bit of fun. The Masters last night, I don't know if you boys seen it, but Barry Ferguson was playing for the Rangers Masters team, and I'd kill for a guy like Barry Ferguson in Miller Park for Rangers now. I just think he is, everything about him is what Rangers should be in the middle of the park. I just thought, yeah, he was a fantastic midfielder. And Gascoigne, we've talked about Gascoigne in this podcast, but Gascoigne, just a genius of a football player.
Absolutely, yeah, an absolute genius of a player. You see Curry, what Curry wants in his team right now is quite clear to see. McCall, Gaza and Gattuso, he wants killers in there. He wants absolute killers in there. But aggression, absolute aggression. And yeah, like AG said, Davis as well. Look, again, it's so difficult because there has been so many. There's loads of central midfielders that I absolutely loved for Rangers. I really did. Even Arteta, when came, Arteta was different class. He really was. Arteta was superb. But there's just, I'll always go back to just your kind of love for players, in Gaza and Barry Ferguson for me were just the 2 best central midfielders I've ever seen playing for Rangers. They were tremendous. Left wing, then Alistair, or left midfield. Whatever.
Again, I'm slightly too young, but I'm going to go with him because my dog's named after him. And if you watch YouTube clips of this guy on the left wing, he is phenomenal. Some of the goals he scored against Aberdeen, the way he could put a ball in the top bin and the power. I'll go with Davy Cooper on the left wing for me. Yeah, what somebody's got Rabbi Matondo down at bottom there on the left wing. He'll be back soon. But no, Davy Cooper for me. And what a sad loss to lose to lose his life at the age of 36, 37 when it was. But he was a fantastic football player for Rangers.
Yeah, I'm ashamed. Never seen him play for Rangers, mate, but I can't disagree with that. If we're going to the 80s as well, then it has to be Cooper on the left. for me. I know, just an unbelievable player, really, just an absolute one of those guys that you're gutted that you didn't get to see him, because he was tremendous in all the videos that you're right that you do see, and it's not that, it's the way that he spoke about amongst older generations that did get to see him, just about how phenomenal the player was. So yeah, it has to be Davy Cooper on the left hand side, and yeah, I wish I had managed to see him in a Rangers jersey, but no. Nicky, your left side of your three?
Brian Laudrup. Although when I come on to my right side, you'll see when I name the three players, right? It's almost just a kind of go and do what you want, right? Because they're good enough to just go and do whatever the hell they want. But the way I've written it down, I've put Brian Laudrup on that kind of left of the front three.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we'll on. I mean, we could run for another hour now just talking about Brian Laudrup, right? Brian Laudrup is the greatest thing I've ever watched, right? Genuinely. I utterly adored Brian Laudrup. I wanted to be Brian Laudrup more than anything else in the world. So what he'd done in the 4 years or so he was here, I said earlier on, there's only one or two players that I would put in the same tier as Gascoigne. Brian Laudrup is absolutely in there. I would probably hold Laudrup slightly higher than Gascoigne in terms of his impact he made at Rangers. 3 or 4 years, won 3 titles. I think he was player of the year, 2 of them as well. Scored massive goals, cup final goals, a Laudrup Cup final, amount of goals he scored against Celtic. He terrorised them. So Brian Laudrup, unbelievable player.
I'm shoehorning Laudrup onto my right hand side, because there's no way I can name a dream team without having Brian Laudrup in my team. Same for me, mate. Laudrup is God and always will be God to me. The guy was sensational. He was the reason, one of the major reasons that I fell in love with Glasgow Rangers was seeing this guy playing football. He's a true icon. I mean, literally a true icon. And yeah, there's no way that I can't have Laudrup in that squad. He's on my right. Ali, have you done the same?
I put Nuno Capuccio out on the right. No, Brian Laudrup all day long.
Capuccio.
If you never Capuccio with the socks down,
no,
Brian Laudrup all day long. The way he could glide with a football, Laudrup, and just go past players if they weren't there, and he scored goals as well. He was a fantastic player, and yeah, it's a shame that there's a younger generation, young Ross. We've never seen Brian Laudrup. And another guy, we talk about Barry Ferguson not aging. Brian Laudrup, look at him.
No, he's still beautiful, mate. He's still beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, yeah.
But Brian Laudrup all day long.
Nicky, your striker? Oh, no, your right-hand side. Sorry.
Right, listen, I'll just finish off. The front three, I had Brian Laudrup, I had George Alberts, and I had Super Ali through the centre, mate. So again, Alberts is probably not typically a right sider. I think there's arguments could be made about putting up Shoehorn in the centre of the park. There's arguments you could put him out left. I think again, Alberts is one of those guys that could almost do it all. It didn't really matter where he was playing. He could carry balls. He could shoot from anywhere. He was good at passing. He had a bit of aggression about him. Scored big goals again in big games. Big goals against Celtic. Another one that terrorised them for a number of years. So I had George Alberts in there again, a guy I can remember fondly, and then Super Ali, right? I didn't even consider anybody else. It was always going to be Super Ali centre forward.
Absolutely, yeah. Ali McCoist is for sure one, and Alberts is another one, mate, as well. I loved Alberts, absolutely adored him. But when you think of the players that we were spoiled with when we were growing up, it's hard to get him into my team. Sure, I could maybe have played him at left back when he first started playing for us, but I think that would be unfair in Robertson. So I get putting Alberts in there any way you can. But yeah, for me up front, McCoist and Haley. If we're going to the glory days, then it's McCoist and Haley. Big guy, wee guy, just one of the best partnerships you'll see. There's again shouts for numerous centre forwards that we've had, but yeah, for me, I'll finish with McCoist and Haley. Ali?
Yeah, McCoist and Haley all day. We've not. I know football's a bit different now, where you don't really play two up top anymore. But they just knew each other. They knew each other what they were doing. They knew the movement of each other. They could probably play blind and know where each other were. But fantastic strikers for Rangers. Haley in the air was outstanding. The amount of goals he scored with his head, just brilliant. The 2 he scored against Aberdeen to win the league, I think it was in one. Waller just took over as manager from Graham Souness. Absolutely fantastic. But aye, McCoist and Haley all day long.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, we could sit here and do another starting 11 as well. You could go back to the start, but no, a good way to finish. Something a wee bit different and to distract us from what's actually currently happening at our club, talking about the glory days and some of the players that we've been privileged to see. But that'll do us for tonight. Thank you everybody for getting involved in the live chat. We generally always do enjoy these pods when you can get your questions and that. And thank you very much for tuning in to us tonight. Very much appreciated. And Curry's just said no guessing who the manager would be. Scott, Walter Smith. There is absolutely zero doubt about that. Ali, thanks for tonight, mate.
No problem. Like I say, I'm actually looking forward to having no Rangers this weekend, which is true. But I'm sure by the beginning of next week, I'll look forward to what we have is a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. And I cannot wait because I'm sure we'll be having a few drinks before and after, and hopefully a decent Rangers performance as well. I
was with you at the start, mate. And then you started talking about a decent Rangers performance. I was like, "No, you've lost me, mate." I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to it myself, mate. I'm looking forward to a Saturday at 3 o'clock. Nicky, thanks, mate. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, mate. I enjoyed that. It was a wee bit different from the usual, just coming on and slaughtering Clemonte's tactics and half these players. So it was good. And who was it? Was it Justin that asked the question about starting 11? I seen that right at the start, by the way, and I had a headache trying to pick 11 for a full hour there. I think I want to put in Alberts or Durant right at the last minute, kind of throwing things about. So no, I enjoyed that, mate, and I looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to next weekend. So we will be back. There'll be no pod on Tuesday. We'll be back next Friday. I'm away again for next week, so I don't want to mess about with the guys again. So I'll just be honest now that there'll be probably no pod on Tuesday, and we will be back next Friday as we preview the Saturday at 3 o'clock, which is it's how football should be and always should be. But thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody enjoys your week, and if we don't speak to you till next Friday, you enjoy your weekend and your week. But thank you for tuning in to us tonight. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the usual stuff. We'll speak to you next time. We are Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. Cheers, everybody.